Hi, I'm Dean Calverth, and welcome to Forgotten Lives and Buried Stories, which is dedicated to telling the stories of people, events, and ideas from our past that don't always make it into the history books. In our last episode, we looked at the life of Nicholas Said, a Civil War soldier who stayed south after the war to teach English to freed slaves. But Nicholas Said wasn't always named Nicholas. He was born as Muhammad Ali bin Said, and he was raised in the center of Africa in a Muslim kingdom known as Borno. Borno's history goes back more than 1,000 years. Its roots go back to at least around 750 AD, around the time that Charlemagne was born in France, and it converted to Islam in 1085, just 20 years after William the Conqueror invaded England. At its peak between 1400 and 1700, it was one of the most powerful countries in Africa, controlling an area the combined size of the United Kingdom and Spain. Its rulers at that time were so wealthy that even their horse bridles and dog leashes were made out of gold. By the time Muhammad Ali bin Said was born, around 1835, Borno had shrunk to a mere fraction of its former size, thanks to wars and famines, but it was still one of the leading kingdoms in its region, surrounded by other countries with ancient roots like Wadai, Bagirmi, Adamawa, and Sokoto. Nicholas Said was born in Borno's capital, Kuka, which by its population would have ranked as one of the top dozen cities in the United States at that time. His father, Barkagana, was the country's leading general, commanding an army that looked like it rode straight out of the Arabian Nights. As a child, Nicholas Said attended a school taught by one of the country's top scholars, studying Arabic and the Quran. In his teens, he and his friends liked to go hunting along Borno's northern frontier, and that is where his life was forever changed. One day as he was hunting, a roving gang of bandits kidnapped him and sold him as a slave. He was forced to walk barefoot more than 2,000 miles through the Sahara Desert to the slave markets of Libya. His journeys as a slave took him through Egypt and Arabia until he finally ended up in Istanbul, where he served tobacco at the foreign ministry of the Ottoman Empire. By then, Said could already speak 4 languages, and the Russian ambassador to Istanbul was so impressed with his intelligence that he bought him, took him to Russia, and then set him free. In Russia, Said was pressured to convert to the Orthodox Church and take a Christian name, which is how Muhammad Ali bin Said became Nicholas Said, indirectly named after Tsar Nicholas I. Working as a personal assistant to a Russian prince, he traveled throughout Europe, crossing paths with such people as Queen Victoria, Emperor Louis Napoleon, and Pope Pius IX. By the time his travels were over, he could speak at least a dozen languages, including English, French, Russian, German, Italian, Greek, Hebrew, Armenian, Turkish, Arabic, and Kanuri and Mandara, 2 languages of Borno. Said immigrated to the United States in 1860, on the eve of the Civil War. But even though he lived the rest of his life in America, he continued to miss his native land of Borno and his hometown of Kuka. In his memoirs, he wrote of how he would turn his eyes in the direction of Kuka and sigh for the rest that he could not find. He also wrote that he was afraid of European encroachments and foreign ambition in Africa, and he worried that his people could not prevail against modern weapons and military tactics. Said was right to worry. In the 1880s, representatives from Europe's leading powers met in Berlin to divide Africa between themselves. England and France were giving the biggest pieces of the pie, followed by Germany, Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Belgium. In 1900, the British Empire swallowed up most of Borno, adding it to its colony of Nigeria. Borno's long history as an independent nation had come to an end, just like the other independent African nations that surrounded it. By 1914, nearly every kingdom in Africa, some of which, like Borno, had existed for more than 1,000 years, had been taken over by Europeans. Although those colonies have since gained independence, they remain weakened by the legacy of colonialism. So that's a brief look at Nicholas Said's homeland in the center of Africa. The next video will look at his career in the U.S. Civil War and Reconstruction, telling the story of other African Americans who served as well. I hope that you like this video, and if you do like it, I hope that you'll hit like and also hit subscribe so you can get more videos in this series. In the meantime, please feel free to leave me comments, questions, and suggestions, including suggestions for future topics. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I look forward to hearing from you again soon.